录，因为用 YouTube 可以把前面剪掉啊，所以那个多的就把它剪掉就好了。可是如果晚录，他后面忙起来就忘记。老师现在记忆很差啊，哇，已经快55岁了
老师还是很厉害。
啊。
老师，请问一下，我们这样子录，如果我旁边开就是与会者跟那个聊天视窗，这样会不会录进去吗？
与会者聊天室
还是没关，应该是没关系。
没关系
好，
啊。Peter 老师跟我们配合几次了呢？
嗯，Hatter 老师应该是第二次。
第二次
上，
啊。
对，上次您说非常好，
啊哈哈哈，
一定要 Hatter 老师来。
印象深刻啊，对啊，对啊。
对，是的。
不过我刚没有听到他试翻译，嗯，
哦，他没有翻译，他只是在测试那个声音。
了解，嗯哼，OK。那现在 GPT 这么盛行，有没有影响到你们口译的生意啊？
其实口译的话还好，口译反而像 Heather 跟 Jason 他们应该都挺忙的。
对，
因为就是口译的话，尤其是同传，受影响不是很大，可能
了，
笔译方面可能会影响比较大。
嗯，那就好。
好奇想询问一下老师们，就是通常你们做这一行，大概都是要几年的经验才有办法，就是讲的非常的流畅。呃，刚才我跟两位医院老师也在沟通。嗯，他是这样的。首先做同传呢，它有一个比较有挑战的点，就在于它是需要经过专业的培训的，就是刻意的培训的。就比如说像我，我也可以讲英语，中英文都可以，但是如果做同传的话，可能就不行，因为我没有经过这方面的专门的培训。这当然，这个他们一般都是在上学期间就去做这件事情的。那他们毕业以后再去做同传的项目呢，就会，效果会更好。对。
了解。
那时间的积累主要会体现在对于一些特殊情况的处理上会比较成熟。就是没有经验的议员，他可能比较会，比如说会紧张啊，或者说某些细节处理的不好啊。那经验比较丰富的，尤其是在某一个领域翻译比较多的话，他处理起来就比较得心应手，就是大家听起来会比较自然，又能够把所有的点都覆盖住。
嗯，了解，谢谢。因为你也跟我配合很久了，至少3年以上啊。
对，是的。我们一直都很幸运，Roden 老师一直选我们。
对啊。明年 ISG 也是我主办的。
哇，那很棒。
嗯，对啊。Scrum Alliance 听到我要接 RIG，他们就很开心。哇，好多好朋友上来了。手术兄好。夫妻间人数大概200个左右。
啊，最好是我上来了，方便给我权限吗？
好，可以。啊，你不是在带读书会吗？
哦，对啊，我等一下帮你录影。
我自己录就好了。啊，我已经在录，没有关系啊。然后今天我有请志工，2位志工上来帮我录中文频道。 好安静哦。立秀在吗？喂喂喂，怎么没有声音了？丽玲在吗？
哦，我在，
哦，好安静哦，我的麦克风坏掉啊。
我们在认真准备中，还是要放个音乐之类的。
哦，好。
哎，老师，今年的 ESG，RSG 也是你们主办的吗？
今年不是啊，今
今
年
年不是哦，我看好像前几天才刚举办完而已。
对啊，没错啊。你有去吗？
没有，
对啊，你在日本啊？
对，那时候刚好不在。
对啊。啊，43分了。如果45分，Peter 没有上来，你再去催他一下。
好，
现在跟我们很熟了。哇，你好幸运哦，可以跟一个大师这样拿比赛。
还可以加好友之类的。
对啊，加好友。
他感觉很没有就是大师的价值，因为就是很亲民，然后很愿意听大家讲话的感觉。
对啊，他跟 Michael 同一等级的。
哦，
嗯，你看都63岁了，快退休了。嗨，Peter 上来了。
上线了。
嗨，Peter。
Very good afternoon.
Hi Peter。
Roger.
嗨，来丽玲交给你发挥拉比赛的那个。
Okay, do you have your background if you don't have a review? Okay,
Yes，哇
great.
All right, guys, first try. How are you doing?
Yeah, very
，very
very
good。So
and
far,
it's getting cold in Taiwan now.
It's doing the same here.
Yeah.
really? How? What's the temperature there?
Right now, I'd say it's about 8 or 9 degrees. It had actually been below freezing. We got our first snow last week.
Oh,
Yes,
it's
and
not
when it's
snow.
warmed up again and the heavens have opened, it feels like the monsoon season. It's because it was raining so hard yesterday.
Mhm.
Right now, today the weather is really variable. It's been kind of sunny and almost warm, and then the
Mhm.
clouds have come and it's been dark and rainy, and then it's cleared up again. So right now the sun is shining in through the window.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
really
really,
comfortable.
yeah.
Let's
But
have our first group photo.
Ah,
3, 2, 1. Okay. I'll remind the audience. I focus. Today has 200 person will go online.
congratulations. That's awesome. Okay, let's do one more group photo. Okay.
One more. Okay.
I'd like to get one, so
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah.
we all practice our, can you do the fancy one? There you go. I can even do that with my left hand.
Let me find the community. Wait a minute. About 30 seconds. Okay.
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 Okay, fine. The second one. 来
Ready? Okay, hold on one second. Now it's my turn to get ready.
Okay, second one. Okay. Hi, Peter.
Hold on a second. I have to position that. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. And
One, two,
yeah,
1, 2, 3. No, 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 no.
one
Fail.
more.
One more, one more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good.
Awesome.
So this is international gesture now.
No,
I
no.
originally think it's
But
um
丽
it's
丽，你刚那个眼睛眨了一下。One more.
oh, okay.
丽丽，
One more time, sorry.
1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Good for everybody.
Hey, awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Put it also here. Okay.
不好意思，Roger 老师，我是团花。
好，
那个我要录的是中文频道还是英文频道
中文频道啊，我
？OK，
给你
好，
权限哈，我先给你。
好，谢谢。
繁花。繁花说话一下。
OK，
啊，有
我是
看到你了，
团花，听得到吗
有看到你了哈。
？OK，
好，跟你联系主持人了。好，
好，
好，你去试录一下，他在翻译的另外一边。好，OK，好，你现在就可以开始录了。好，好，然后还有一位是文主。
Peter, do you still live with your 4 cats? I read it from your introduction.
I'm sorry, say again?
You still live with your 4 cats?
With the forecast?
I read from your introduction you live with your family and cats in Zurich.
That's correct.
Yeah. Why do you
I think
want
we're up to 3 cats now. I'm not
Oh,
sure if
3
the count is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. 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 We're now up to 3. It had gone down to 2. It was 2, then it went down to 1. Now it's back up to 3. So cats own the house.
So they born you a baby cat or you just bought one?
So one of them is kind of an old lady. She's around 12.
Mm-hmm.
And the other 2 are kind of teenagers. They're about 2 years old now.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So one of our older cats passed away about 1.5 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. And so we were lucky to find some kittens who were just looking for homes at the right time.
Mm-hmm. So, what color are they?
So, well, we have a collection. So Pipa, the oldest, she is a deep chocolate brown. That's called a Burmese cat, and they're very small and very how shall I say, very affectionate. And then the other 2 are kind of they're kind of barn cats or field cats. We got them, from some neighbors or some friends of ours who live on the land. One is your kind of tabby tiger, and the other is dark black with big bright eyes.
Oh.
And yes, we call him the professor, Dr. Merlin. In fact, we even named him after a wizard because he has that attitude.
Yeah. So they are at a adventure age that they just
They are very adventurous. They are full of energy, and particularly the young ones, they go into crazy mode, and it's zoom, 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 zoom. Yes, they haven't quite, they don't climb the walls, fortunately, but other than that, they're pretty energetic.
When did you decide to feed those cats?
When do we feed the cats?
Yeah.
Constantly. Constantly. Every time I walk past the kitchen, somebody wants to be fed. And 3 cats is about 6 more cats than 2 cats. I mean, it's just there's always, I think there's an exponential relationship here, the number of cats.
Because some of my friends, they feed about 2 or 3, they have 2 or 3 cats, but they always fight, so they have to keep them stay away from
Okay. We're lucky. Our cats get along really well with each other. I think it's because we got them as kittens, not from the wild. If they've been out in the wild, that kind of sets their character. But I don't know. One of them is kind of a big teddy bear. He likes to just cuddle. He was very friendly. In fact, one of the young ones, and he was the one who actually built the bridge between the younger generation and the older generation. The people wasn't having anything of the young ones, but he was irresistible. So here we are. But my experience, cats don't eat a lot all at once. You got to kind of feed them continuously. And you can leave them some dry food out for a while, but if you give them fresh meat, you just give them a little bit, and then they'll eat it, and then they're happy, and then they go away, and they come back 20 minutes later and want some more. So homeopathic doses, drop at a time, seems to be the way. Yeah. And it's funny, each one knows which is their bowl. So we feed them all together, and each one gets their food. So yeah, I think that also prevents us. So like one of the young ones won't touch wet food, and the other one won't touch dry food. That eliminates a lot of competition.
Yeah, they just like children. They are very picky for what they want to eat.
Yeah, they can be. We call them silly eaters. Yes, they kind of eat what they want to eat, and they don't eat what they don't want to eat. But I also think you can't change their personalities. But if you meet with them when they're young, I do think you can influence them. So like we discourage roughhousing. We don't fight with play fight with the cats. I mean, they play fight with each other. We can't limit that very much. But we have a friend of ours who got another cat from the mother cat had another litter, probably with the same father, but he roughhouses with the cat, and so they have a much more energetic relationship with each other than we do. But cats are people too, so they all have their personalities.
Yeah, and it's their nature that we cannot easily change them. Because I also our family have two boogies, the parrots. So
Yeah.
they like to fly at in our home, and they always broke our furniture.
Yeah.
It's their nature, so we love them still.
So one thing which we do is we have these water bottles with a squirter on the top to water that we use to water the plants. But you can also use it like the squirt gun. And so if the cats are doing something they're not supposed to do, well, they're at the point, all we have to do is kind of hold up the water bottle and say, "Cats, stop," and they get the message. And if they don't get the message, you just squirt them. And I think they react to the sound as much as to the water, and they realize this is not something I want. Cats hate water. And then they go off and do something else. So that's, now, of course, when we're not there, who knows what they do, but most of the time, I don't know. Like I say, we're fairly lucky. And we do trim their claws from time to time, which also I think cuts down on the damage.
5 minutes to go.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow, there are almost 40 people in the room. That's great.
$40.
And climbing.
Yes, 42 now. Wow.
44.
44, 45. We are counting the number.
So, what's your plan after this interview? I think the sunshine is very good if you can go outside, enjoy it.
Oh, it would be nice if I could take the afternoon off. It's coming up on 2 o'clock here, so I guess we'll be done around 3. I actually have 2 more calls this afternoon. One is with a partner in what we call the Human Business Labs. And what we're trying to do is incubate projects to kind of start up and be, kind of from the get-go to be, up to the challenges of the 21st century. And so that's everything from how we work with AI to how we work together. And so, we try to incubate and, if you're working with, a larger company, many large companies find it difficult to innovate. So one way to do this is to say, okay, let's take a group of people with a great idea. Let's separate them from the rest of the company so they don't have to deal with all the politics. We help them get started, and then they've now got a project that they can launch, to kind of start on this new innovative path. And so that's really exciting. And also because, kind of how you work. If you put a group of people together, up to 4 people, maybe 5, they work together by themselves. They don't need anyone to tell them what to do. As soon as they get to 6, then they start feeling the need for a boss. And this is where kind of even with a startup company, this is kind of where traditional hierarchical management starts to happen. And by the time you get to 15, and now you've got 3 department heads, and you get to 50, and you've got a CEO and some department heads, and so you get this very traditional management, which at one level that's good because it works. But for reasons we'll probably talk about today, you very quickly hit limits, and you can't be responsive anymore, and you find yourself running around. And of course, every time you grow by a factor of 3, you have to reorganize again, and so that keeps people very busy with internal stuff. And so there's a lot of better ways to organize people that are available today. But in order to make them happen, you got to start young. When the companies are young, that is, and I think 4 to 5 people. That's the magic space. So I'm really excited about this call and our collaboration there. We're looking at some interesting problems with some interesting companies. And then the other thing that I'm going to be doing is I actually have a sales call later today. And this is where we're starting to see the resonance of personal agility, because many, I think, what is it? Today's challenge is time to market. Okay, almost every company I talk to says it takes us too long to get a product to market. By the time we get halfway there, we realize we're building the wrong product, and starting over is almost as hard as starting from scratch or repurposing. Okay, and so how can we get things done sooner, and how can we be more flexible and more responsive? I think that's the challenge of the day, for companies. Now, my guess is that's around the world. This particular call, we're going 8 hours from my perspective to the east. The other one is going 9 hours to the west. So I think it's really a global problem.
Well, your second schedule is very have to connect with today's topic. And
yes.
We have only 1 minute. I think I can make an announcement for our audiences. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the interview with the world-famous Agile expert Peter Stevens, co-author of Personal Agility together with Maria Martinelli. It's my honor to introduce today's 2 interpreters, Jason and Heather from weinterpreters.com. Please remember to switch on the interpretation function of the Earth icon below for Chinese if you need. Hope you enjoy this pleasant day. 大家晚安，欢迎参与世界知名敏捷大师以及 Personal Agility 作者 Peter Stevens 的专访。那很荣幸，我们今天有邀请到 weinterpreters.com 的2位口译老师 Jason 席老师与 Peter 徐老师。那如果有需要，可以开启 Zoom 下方的地球图案，我们有提供中文口译功能。那我们的活动就即将开始喽。
Hello, I'm Roger. I'm accompanied by Li Ling. Today, we are happy to have the worldwide leading Agile coach, Mr. Peter Stevens. I will start by briefly introducing Peter to the panel. Peter Stevens is an executive coach, author, and Scrum trainer, and founder of or co-founder of the Personal Agility Institute, the Scrum Ambassador, and the World Agility Forum. He is the creator of the Personal Agility System. He recently served as Chief Agility Officer for Fiverr AG, the Swiss digital health startup. Peter, I will introduce Chinese. Wait a minute. 丽玲看到什么
？CSM 愿景。
OK， 好 ，OK。And this is Peter. And this is Peter and his book. 各位大家好，我是专辑杂志的总编辑来介绍今天这位重量级的人数大师哈。 那我们 CST 其实是全世界最难拿到的 Scrum 证照，现在全世界大概只有200多位有拿到这张证照，但在这 CST 我们可以分成 A、B、C 3个等级哈。那在这3个等级的话，其实这位大师跟 Mike Kong 是相同一个等级。那很特别的是，因为他创造了一个系统，叫做个人敏捷性的系统。那其实个人敏捷性系统的话，是把那个敏捷的原理用在个人的身上。因为我们知道说要跑敏捷要一个团队嘛，可他没有，他用在个人就可以去解决个人的问题。那他从哪里开始他是从这个人生最重要的事情我们叫 WRM。What really matters， 什么对你是最重要的事情那你做这些事情的话你怎么让他让自己觉得很开心？有些人他努力工作，但他不开心，那他可能是因为爸妈的期望，让他去做一个自己不喜欢的工作。所以这位 Peter 大师他就提出6个工具6个问题过程中不断的检查跟调整你的执行事项。那是不是跟你的人生目标相符那哪些事情是让你快乐，借此让你来去做调整那我们现在就借由这次的专访，我们来找出你现在最重要或者最快乐的事情吧Peter, now the number is 116OK 好，那丽玲交给你了
Okay, so let me introduce Peter. So Peter believes that Scrum and agility are transforming the world of work, and passionate people like us will lead that change. So Peter devotes to help people and organizations become who they want to be and achieve what they want to achieve. He also wrote 10 agile contracts, getting beyond fixed price, fixed scope, and extreme manufacturing. He is an instrument-rated pilot, speaks 4 languages, and lives in Zurich, Switzerland with his family and cats.
Peter, thank you very much for taking the time to be here. I translate your masterpiece, personal agility with the collaboration of GPT into, and we also have many agile practitioners joining today. I think, I predict today we will have 150 persons and above, and we are honored to be able to interview. Before we begin today's interview, could you say hello to prospective readers and your fans in Taiwan? Also, could you tell us a bit about yourself for those who have just learned about your work?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's very much an honor to be here. I think you've already told my deep, dark secrets. You've explained that I was an instrument-rated pilot. I talked to a military pilot, and I explained to him that I flew my airplane with one engine over the Atlantic twice. And he looked at me, kind of looked back and said, "Man, you're braver than I am." At the time, I thought it was a compliment, but in retrospect, I'm not so sure. So I've been in the Scrum and Agile community since about 1993. I formally discovered Scrum in 2005 or 2006. I did my first Scrum project shortly thereafter and really never looked back. I mean, it just became to me that, finally a way of organizing people that makes sense. And so I've kind of devoted myself to either doing Scrum, sharing Scrum. As I've gotten deeper into it, I've used more, how shall we say, taken a more generic or abstract approach to it, which we're going to talk a lot about today. But, I really believe that a lot of people and a lot of companies can be much better and much happier about doing what they want to do, get better results sooner, through agile methods. And so that's kind of what's been the focus of my life ever since. And let's see, is there anything else to know about me? Work should be fun. And there are a few things that are more fun and more enjoyable than collaborating with someone who share a common purpose. And my hope today is we can spread that joy a little bit to the people in this room and beyond.
Actually, I had many surprises that I can't imagine how Agile can be applied in daily life outside of work. So in today's interview, we have prepared some questions for you to let our audience know more about your idea. Are you ready?
I'm ready and looking forward to it.
Okay, great.
Let's rock this boat.
Okay. Personal agility is a simple dialogue-based leadership framework that scales from the individual to the largest organization. What motivated you to write this book in 2022, and what impact did you hope to have?
Okay, so the motivation actually came much earlier. Okay, as I told you, I've been in the Agile community. My first and most successful project or successful Agile project ever was actually in 1993, where I kind of first encountered the patterns, even though I didn't know it. By 2016, I was an independent Scrum trainer. I had my own business. I was working like crazy. My business was doing well, but I was working like crazy. And I was wondering, could my business still do well if I weren't working like crazy? And so I started, trying things out and asking questions and sharing my ideas. And by the fall, it was becoming clear that this approach was enabling people to make really important changes in their lives and improvements in their lives. And I realized this needs a wider audience. And that's kind of when I started to realize I need to write a book.
Wow, that's really a great start that you wrote this book. And personal agility has become a staple for every agile coach. What does this book represent to you?
Okay, well, for me, this book is first and foremost an invitation to a better life and better results in business. The personal agility system alive invites you to live with intention, meaning, and fulfillment, and it shows you how to do it. And this extension extends to your professional life, where you can achieve greater success for yourself and your organization. And we show you how to do that too.
Personal agility might be new to Taiwanese readers. What do you think is the core concept of personal agility? And how can people who are new to agility quickly understand it?
Okay, so at the heart of personal agility, you find 6 powerful questions that invite you to think about where you are going, and where you want to be going. Okay, the most important question here is what really matters. Yes. It's all based on how you use your time. Time is your most precious currency. You only get to spend it once, and your choices about how to use your time make you who you are. And so by changing what you do, that is by aligning your actions with your purpose, you can become that better you can become more successful. You can be that person that you want to be.
Yeah, you mentioned time is precious, and I deeply agree with that. So if readers only have 1 hour to read your book, what section would you recommend they focus on and why?
Oh my. As with all questions, how do I do ... The correct answer is almost always, it depends. So here I would probably suggest that you start with the introduction, because this gives you the big picture and it gives you the social proof. Chapter 1 goes into the what really matters question. We call that WRM, and how to use it to align action with purpose. Okay, and so the first half of the book is all about leading yourself to achieve long-term goals. Now, depending on how fast you read, that might be about an hour or so. And that is the foundation for effective leadership, which is what the second half of the book is about. So I would start there.
Your book mentioned that there are 5 elements of the PAS, which is the personal agility system. And the composed of purpose, celebration, choice, cadence, dialogue. Which one do you think people need to pay most attention to when implementing personal agility, and why? Peter, simple reminder, because you talk so fast.
I need to slow down.
Cannot, you just slow down your...
Yes, you slow down. Okay, so I thought I was speaking slowly. Okay, so You've got on the reactions here, you've got somewhere you've got this little sign. Maybe you could do it. I can't do it, but you can say, slow down, slow down.
Slow down.
Okay. And I still need to slow down. I got you. Okay. So to answer your question, the funny thing is the learning never stops. Back then, I talked about celebration and choice. Today, I would consolidate them into one word, navigation. This is about knowing where you are, where you are going, and where you want to be going, whether that's where you want to go. The next thing I would add is visualization, which is essential not only for navigation, but for many other complex tasks. With purpose, navigation, visualization, cadence, and dialogue, I think we have identified features common to virtually all of the Agile frameworks that are out there. Now, which one should you use? Or which one should you start with? In all honesty, I think it depends. I think you can make a good case for any of them. If you look at Kanban, it starts with minimal purpose and visualization. Scrum starts with navigation and cadence. Simon Sinek says start with why, i.e. purpose. And professional coaching starts with dialogue. Now, if you want to make changes in your life, I would start with navigation in cadence, and the purpose can emerge. If you want to improve an organization, I would emphasize dialogue, which includes both coaching and facilitation and listening skills. Emergent giants, i.e. companies, they think through conversation. So dialogue is really the essential skill. And again, purpose emerges through dialogue.
Yes, very good.
How is the speed?
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's very good. Well. And this book has two scenarios for readers to explore answers for life, like personal agility and leading others. And you discuss the journey of growing from personal agility to business coaching, ultimately to an agile leader. Could you elaborate on the major shifts that occur in this process?
Sure. The first thing you do with personal agility is you learn to ask yourself powerful questions to make sense of your own life. And then you listen to the answers. Using the answers, you make better decisions in life. The consequence or the side effect for many people that we were not expecting, more empathy with yourself, more belief in yourself, and more confidence in what you are doing. Some people would say they learn to say no. As you apply these techniques with other people, you discover their power for learning, for building empathy, creating that feeling of I'm being heard, and to create trust. This combination of knowledge, empathy, and trust enables authentic leadership, and it works at any level of the organization. And speaking of organizations, Roger, this would be a good time to ask. I've heard you are working on a vision CEO CSM to train 100 CEOs in Scrum. How do you see the practice of personal agility in company leadership? What is the opportunity to start the project?
Yes, that's a good question. When I get my CST in the May 5, I have a mission. My mission is to train 100 CEO into CSM. And let's see this vision. Here is my vision. My vision is I want to train 100 CEO into CSM, and this is my missionary. So I didn't take money. This is free for them. But what will benefit them? It will open the enterprise new visionary. And I want this 100 CEO to have the CSM. They will have the new thinking because they are the head of the enterprise. So if their thinking is Scrum, it will have a very good benefit to the Scrum team. For example, they will empower the product owner for the full rights, or they will protect the Scrum team, like the Scrum Master. They not to be the Scrum Master, but they will have their maximized benefit to the Scrum team. And here are the different classes. In my first class in the June, I have trained 15 CEOs into CSM, and you can see there are 3 colors. The first color is yellow. That means these are government officials, and the blue is the CEOs, and the pink is the principal. So you can see these are the accumulation of the CEO. So the second class is 1 month. After 1 month, it is 30. 15 plus 15 is 30. And the third class is 18. Until now, I have 83 CEOs. And for today, for this week, I will have my 100 CEO accumulated. So what does that mean? When I become a CST, I'm not using the CST to make money. I use my CST to fulfill my missionary. That there is an important meaning to me because I use 10 years to reach this achievement. The CST is so long way for me. So when I achieve the CST, I have this missionary.
That's really a great experience of how to do like personal agility.
Yeah, because this is what really matters. The most important thing of my life, not the CST, but I want to help the enterprise in a good way. And Peter, how do you perceive the role of Scrum Master in guiding the team members to adopt their personal agility?
That's an excellent question. A Scrum Master is accountable for the effectiveness of their team. A Scrum Master is not allowed to tell the team what to do. Wait, what? How do Scrum Masters even do their jobs? Most people have no clue, and personal agility gives answers. As a Scrum team, our goal is to achieve challenging goals together. The world is complex and changing, so we need to respond to new information effectively. Most companies don't do this very well because classical command and control is just too slow. So your job as Scrum Master is to shape a team so that it trusts each other, it sees the big picture, and can act on it. Your job is to create a culture of collaboration so that the team can be trusted with important decisions about what they are building. And when they need some help from the organization to be more effective, the organization is willing to help. So I call this leadership at all levels. And personal agility gives everyone in the organization the tools to do that.
So it's really a great idea that made me rethink about what Scrum Master need to have. So But in your experience, what characteristic or skill do you think that can elevate a Scrum Master to lead people? How do you think these traits or skills can be applied in practice?
Okay, so I think the most important skill is quite simply to listen. Okay, a Scrum Master has got no command authority. The Scrum Master cannot tell people what to do. A Scrum Master very often needs to talk to people who do have command authority. So how do you get them to do what you want? Well, I call this the Scrum Master is the voice of common sense, or perhaps even the Scrum Master creates the common in common sense, so that both within the team, the members of the team, but also when you're bringing outsiders, stakeholders to work, to collaborate with the team, that you come to good solutions and effective solutions. So as a Scrum Master, the skills you need to cultivate, obviously it's helpful to know about Scrum, and more importantly, the deeper whys behind all the design decisions of Scrum. Okay, so like Scrum says, don't change the mandate during the sprint. Well, why do you not change the mandate during the sprint? Okay, there's a reason for that. Okay, and sometimes you'll have to do it anyway, but you need to understand and be able to talk about the risks. So a Scrum Master needs to have knowledge about getting work done, but at the same time, a Scrum Master needs to be, to listen to the people around them, to help them find pragmatic solutions to the real problem at hand. Okay, and that's the sign of a good Scrum Master. They're a good listener, and they help the group become good problem solvers.
Oh, wow, that's really inspiring and useful, I might say, for a Scrum Master. What do you think about the future of personal agility? And what's your prediction or hopes for future agile development? And what advice do you have for readers looking to deepen their understanding or even become a greater Scrum Master?
Okay, so there's a lot of discussion about the state of the agile movement today. I think back when agility was getting started, the people who came up with Scrum and Kanban, they were problem solvers. They solved problems. And somewhere they went from being problem solvers to solution sellers. Follow my method, do it the way I tell you to do it, or you're doing it wrong. Okay, and I think the future of agility is going back to the roots as being a problem solver. Now, there are a lot of people selling snake oil these days and calling it agile. Okay, you got to watch out for that. I believe companies still need agility. Agility is about finding better ways of meeting our challenges. It's about achieving goals, responding to change, and managing risk. Okay, I do think we need to be perhaps a bit more systematic in how we apply agility, because people say, oh, we're going to be agile and that will solve all our problems. And said, no, that doesn't guarantee, just following the recipe doesn't guarantee that you're going to have a good result when it comes off the stove. So I think, I think it can make sense for companies to invest a lot in agile transformation, but they also need clear and measurable expectations. Start with the end in mind, and then let's work towards that goal. Then we see the actual results, okay? And I think that this, having clarity about what we want to achieve, clarity about what we have achieved, this justifies and enables further investment and further improvement. So I would expect agile transformation to have more conversations about results, testable hypotheses. The pain point that many companies are experiencing is time to market. That's why we do a lot of agile transformations happen, is so that we can get to market sooner. The problem is most companies don't measure that. They have no idea. And when they do measure it, they don't like the answer, so they hide the answer, okay? So we need to say, okay, we want to get to market faster. Now let's start improving. And we want to start improving every day, even if it's just a little bit, okay? And that's what agility is about, small steps that add up to big leaps. So I think we'll see more. I think we're going to see more agility, not less, but it's going to be more about improving the companies and being better problem solvers.
Yes. So far, we have learned some of idea of your book, Personal Agility. And some audience raised the questions that they want to see the real example. How do you use it in your real life, or your audience? How do they succeed in the real life by the use of personal agility?
Okay, so if they're asking questions about how does this work in real life, they're going to like the book, because the book is full of case studies. Okay, two of my favorite case studies. One is about a woman in America who is dealing with just about every challenge you can imagine facing. Not enough money, toxic relationships, problems at the work. Just kind of nothing is coming better for her, coming together for her. She's struggling to make ends meet. And she discovered she was actually driving an Uber. She was a taxi driver. And she met Maria, my partner on the book. And Maria coached her in personal agility. And within a few weeks, she was starting to make her lifetime dream come true. Within 2 years, she'd gone from struggling to having a good income to having a great, secure life. Okay, completely turned her life around. Although that did present new challenges, and with every success, comes a new challenge. So the immediate problem, dealing with very borderline income, too much to do, no time to do it, little things cause massive problems. She got that under control. Now, another case study is about a company that was having problems with red ink. They had become independent they'd split off from a larger corporation or a larger consulting partnership. They weren't able to establish themselves in the market. Their employees did not know why they were coming to the company. And because of that, their customers didn't know why they should come either. So they had a lot of internal challenges, and that made it difficult for them to establish themselves in the market. And the CEO realized he had a problem. He started to do something about it, and he tried with classical methods. And after 2 years, he had failed, or he admitted that he had failed. He was not making the progress that he needed, and the red ink was starting to get a bit dramatic. And he said, I need to do something different. And then he started with an agile approach, first for himself, then for the company as a whole. He did personal agility. His leadership was doing Scrum. And within 6 months, they had completely turned the situation around. They had achieved all the goals in 6 months that they had previously failed to achieve in 2 years. Okay, so we talk about time to market. If we start organizing our work effectively, we can make dramatic improvements in how well our companies work. One of the keys, though, is the leaders have to want it. So anyway, the book is full of case studies, and maybe that's a topic for another meetup to talk about the case studies, but I'd encourage you, you can browse the book and look for case studies and find one that's close to your situation. And I'm sure you'll find some good ones.
Many audience are very curious about those cases, especially the biggest challenges that you have encountered. Do you have any case to share with us when you introducing personal agility? What kind of challenge you have encountered, and how did you overcome it?
Oh boy, it's hard to pick one that's kind of really stands out. One problem which shows up is when you are, the chief executive of a company, and maybe you're one of the main investors of the company, and things aren't going well for you. Okay, the company is kind of going downhill, and you need to turn it around. This is as much a personal challenge as it is an organization challenge. And so, kind of how do you do it? Well, I think one of the most important things is to get clear on what really matters so that you can stay focused on the goal. And it's especially when you're upset and you're nervous, it's very easy to get so, I can't deal with it. And there's so much. And this is where you have to step back and breathe and say, okay, one thing after another. What are we going to do first? What are we going to do second? What do we need to learn this week? Well, maybe what did we learn last week? What do we need to learn this week? Okay, and so kind of one step after the other. And particularly when you are personally very stressed, I think it's very helpful to have a partner who doesn't have the same personal commitment because they don't have the same level of fear. And they can offer you kind of a calming, what is it, a counterweight. You might be nervous and uptight, but you kind of remember, I have to stay on top of things, regardless of how challenging the situation is. It's like flying an airplane. If you are flying an airplane in bad weather and you have mechanical problems or one of the radio doesn't work, as the pilot, you still have to stay focused on landing the airplane. And you don't worry about the turbulence and you don't worry about what else is happening. What do I do now? Okay. And I think, for anyone going through turbulent times, having your eye on, I have to get this airplane safely on the ground. What are my options? What do I want to do next? This kind of clarity and focus is immensely helpful. And I say that as someone who did take an airplane down in the clouds, going down a mountain passage, not allowed to drift too much to the left or the right. In the clouds, my number 1 radio failed, and I had to land on the number 2 radio, which was not, and my wife was in the plane. That was a nervous moment, but I didn't have time to be afraid. I was focused, okay? And it's completely different to be the pilot in a situation like that than the passenger. But on the other hand, if you have passengers or crew in the airplane, their ability to stay calm and perform also depends on yours. If you're confident and if you're focused, they'll be calm and confident and focused. So stay focused on your goals, stay calm. And it's the biggest challenge, but it's the one that's I think it's a key to success.
Wow. It's a very special experience, right? And I have another question. In your experience, what characteristic or skill elevate the Scrum Master leading people? How can these traits or skill be applied in practice?
So, I think, oddly enough, I think the skill is the same for a Scrum Master or a product owner and any kind of business leader. The most dangerous thing you can do is jump to assumptions and then make a decision based on wrong information. So, a classic pattern of the Scrum Master, hey, 3 weeks ago, I took a certified Scrum Master class. This is how it works. Now we're going to change everything to do Scrum by the book. Okay. And first of all, that's not what Scrum is about. And second of all, that kind of attitude produces a lot of resistance and a lot of pushback. Pull the thread. Okay. So these are such great questions. I get so excited about them. Okay. Yeah. So what does a Scrum Master need to do? I summarize this in 3 sentences. Listen before you talk. Listen to what's happening. Talk to the other people. Understand what the real situation is. Ask before you tell. Okay, so ask questions. Okay, so the way you listen is to ask questions. Okay, to really understand what the situation is. This, by the way, lets you identify potential for consensus, which makes it much easier to get people to agree, find what they already agree on. Okay, let's start working on that. Okay, and save the more difficult stuff for later. When you've got a basis for trust. Listen before you talk. Listen before you talk. Ask before you tell. And when you ask clarifying questions. Okay, questions to understand the situation, not questions to use as kind of a hammer or to attack the other person. So listening for understanding is key. And you'll hear this a lot in guidance on what leaders should do, but the trick is to make it simple and tangible enough so that when you get into the situation, you know what to do. So I like this simple 3-step approach. Listen before you talk, ask before you tell, and when you ask clarifying questions.
Well, this is also the core of personal agility of the focus, like you just have the example of the plate.
Yes.
I remember you mentioned that multitasking wastes time jumping from task to task in your book. And staying
Yes.
focused on what is really important can avoid waste. However, in the post-COVID-19 era, people's work style are also changing. For example, remote work will face environmental conflict with work and family. So, if multitasking is unavoidable, what do you suggest people to do to achieve personal agility?
Okay. So one of the analogies that I use, I like the word evil. Okay, because there's good in the world and there's bad in the world, and you know, the problem with evil is you can fight it, but you can never get rid of it. Okay, so think of having a garden. You know, every garden has got weeds, and you can do all you want to try to pull the weeds from the garden, but next week there are going to be more weeds. Okay, so does this mean you should give up entirely and say, well, we'll just let there be weeds? If you have too many weeds in the garden, no tomatoes. Okay, maybe tomatoes is the wrong example for Taiwan, but whatever it is you're trying to grow, you know, if you have too many weeds, you know, too much congestion, too many other plants competing for the same nourishment, the ones that give you food that have nutritional value, you don't get them. So what do you do? Okay, well, first of all, we try to limit the amount of multitasking we do. Okay, and in companies, I think this is the biggest single problem, because a top manager can say to his staff or her staff, I want, and they'll salute and they'll go off and do. And then a week later, he'll come and he'll say, I want something else. And this is really good if you have more than one manager. Okay, so it's very easy to overload your company that you're trying to do too many things. And this is just disastrous for your performance. Okay, I just read a case study today of a company that reduced their time to market by a factor of 3, from, I don't know, 1.5 years to 6 months, by reducing the number of projects they did in parallel. Okay, so, you know, this is like, multitasking is like a weed. It's going to grow as much as it can, as much as you let it. All you got to do is schedule another meeting and you've got more to do. Okay, and you know, I've done surveys on this. So many people they spend so much time in meetings, they don't have time to do any actual work. And so nothing gets done except, well, we'll have a meeting next week or in 2 weeks, and we'll say what we didn't get done in the last 2 weeks because we didn't have time to do it. Okay, so I think, you know, getting the balance between enough work that the company is well utilized, but not so much work that the company is overburdened and has no ability to respond to things new. That is the challenging balance. And this takes us back to what really matters. And the thing about what really matters, it's not easy to do what really matters. In fact, it's hard to do what really matters. You have to want to do it. And this is why the visualization to remind you what's important, and then this clarity of purpose, especially from the leaders, this is essential.
Yes. Some Q&A from audience. How do
Yes.
you use tasks for leadership? Leading in Scrum team or leading in daily life?
I would say use it where it's appropriate. A tool is there to help you. If the tool helps you, use it. If it doesn't help you, don't use it. One thing which I have found is that if the easiest person to try something new on is yourself. Unlike every other agile approach, personal agility is something you can start by yourself. You don't have to ask anyone's permission. You don't have to tell anyone what you're doing. You just do it. Okay. And I just, in fact, the sales call today that I'm doing this afternoon is because one of their top performing project managers, he started doing personal agility years ago. He joined the company 6 months ago, and now he's their top performer in delivering things to market quickly. Okay, so you can just do that for yourself and it will work just fine. And at some point, you can start to share what you're doing with other people. Now, this is very important for leaders because leaders need to be seen as leaders. And if they're seen as learning or not knowledgeable and dependent on their subordinates or external consultants, that makes them look weak, which is dangerous. Okay, so the idea is you learn it on yourself, and when you can share it with confidence, then you do. Now, I watched a company, one of my clients, I taught the CEO and the CFO of the company how to use the basics of personal agility in a simple Trello board or priorities map. I asked the CEO to put his on his priorities map on the wall so everyone could see it, and he managed his task doing it. And you know what happened? Using these boards spread like wildfire throughout the company because the boss knew how to do it. The boss was showing people how to do it. People wanted to make a good impression on the boss. They did it too. And all of a sudden, they became a much more agile company. Okay, just learning by doing, learning by sharing. Okay, so when I work with the company, what I try to do is I say, start with yourself. And I try to get the leaders interested in being early adopters because they will have the maximum impact when it comes to spreading it through the organization. Okay, it's kind of like the media stars. You know, you get a TikTok star to like your product, and all of a sudden everyone likes your product. Same idea. Works in the companies just wonderfully.
I think you are right. Visualization is a successful factor for apply past at work. But when the rights and responsibility of the department are not clear, is it beneficial to be a person who always takes the responsibility to help others, or what suggestion do you have for this kind of organization?
You know, sometimes responsibilities are not clear. You know, one thing which I find helpful is to have conversations. And I've come to like the word accountability better than responsibility. Okay, now accountability, if you look at the traditional, maybe you've heard the RACI, responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. Accountable is kind of a scary word because you're the one, if you're accountable, you can get blamed. Okay, so you're responsible for the work, but your manager is accountable for the work. And so if there's an issue, you know, if you have a problem doing the work, your manager has a problem too. Now that's scary. Now, if we look at more modern understandings of accountability, like Scrum uses this, and I think Holacracy does too, accountability is what you contribute to the whole. How can you contribute to the overall result? So one thing which you can try to do is shift the conversation from responsibility, which is, you know, kind of, this is my territory and that's your territory. You stay off of your grass and I'll stay on my grass. That's a very common discussions when people are thinking in terms of responsibilities. When you're saying accountability, hey, we have a game to win. How can we play together so that we win together? Okay, and that's I think that's a big aha moment for many companies when they realize, oh, wait a minute, on our team we cooperate with each other and we compete against the other team that's at the other end of the field. Okay, so that's what accountability is about more than responsibility. So that's where I would start. Let's create a we feeling. We are accountable. What's your contribution? What's my contribution? That seems to be more helpful than more territory-based discussions.
So far we learned a lot. So any additional comments or insight would you like to share with us?
Well, you know, I think one of the things that I've been hearing from the market lately, and we've touched on this a little bit, is the need to get to market faster. Everything takes too long. And the other is the need to learn faster. Oh, we started developing a product, but it's not what the market needs. We need to develop something differently. And that pivot needs to be fast and effective. So I think, you know, what personal agility helps you do first for yourself and then for within the company is it helps you get focused on what matters, take small steps to achieve your goals, and then stop and reflect to make sure you're on course to the right goals and adjust your course if needed. And these are based on patterns that were pioneered by things like Scrum and Kanban and Lean. And so they're very powerful for your own life. And it turns out when you really understand them for your own life, it becomes much easier to apply them at work and in business. Okay, so I think it's got a huge springboard effect. Imagine if you could get your projects done in half of the time. Okay, and this is entirely possible if you get consequent about using these methods.
Thank you for sharing precious insights with us. And now I think we can have an open session for 3 online audience to raise issues. So if anyone has a question, please press the raise hand button below to let us know. 好，那现在我们开放3位现场观众提问。那如果有任何问题想要询问 Peter 的话呢，请点选下方的举手功能，让我们知道。大家可以把握这一个难得的机会，我们邀请到了国际知名的大师，可以针对 personal agility 来做解答哦。OK，
可以用英文、中文讲就好了，那我们再帮你翻译就好了。Peter, now the person is one.
I'm listening to the English translation now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Peter. I have a question from the audience. In an environment without agile thinking, how can agile be promoted successfully?
How to promote agile successfully when agile thinking really isn't very present. I think if you look at how consultants sell their services to companies, what you do is you identify a pain point. Okay, something that's hurting the leadership or hurting the company, which they would like to get fixed. And then once you've established the pain, then you talk about the urgency. Why do we need to fix it now? Okay, and then once you've established the pain and the urgency, you can say, well, what would you do to solve the problem? And this is where they talk about money. How much is solving the problem worth to you? Okay, and then you say, well, let me show you how my solution is your solution. Okay, and then the idea is the customer or the client in this case sees their salvation in your solution. So, that's kind of the sales pitch. The first thing I would do, remember, ask before, listen before you talk, ask before you tell. Well, start listening to your leaders. Ask them these questions about their pain points and what they're trying to achieve and what's making it difficult. And what is your definition of awesome? What would you like to achieve? Let me show you how to get there. Okay, and this is how you can introduce your thoughts. There's a whole lot about change leadership. I'm a fan of 2 books. One is a thing called Fearless Change by Rising and Mans. And this is a collection of patterns, that is known solutions to known problems with a given name. So we could talk about like do food, which is, let's, after we've had an event, introduce a new concept. Let's have some sort of opportunity where people can, eat light food and have informal conversations to discuss it. And that's a very successful pattern for introducing change. So fearless change is one very good approach. And another one is a book called Switch by Chip and Dan Heath, How to Change When Change is Hard. And one of my favorite stories was how they eliminated malnutrition in Vietnam. And they had tried many solutions, most of which were about the movements of money. For some reason, the money wasn't hungry, so the money didn't fix the problem of the hungry kids. And finally, a young woman came to visit, and her first inclination was to, well, let's go visit Vietnamese villages and try to identify Vietnamese children who are not hungry. that is, who are nourished properly. And they found some. And then they said, okay, what do you feed your kids? Oh, well, we feed them this bush and that herb and this and that. Ah, okay. These are all things that work in Vietnam. And so they created, I believe they created like a recipe book, which they could distribute to parents throughout Vietnam. Here are ways to feed your kids that will keep them well nourished. So notice what we got here was first listen to the problem, find existing solutions, okay, and then share the solutions that have authenticity. And they worked very nicely. So you're coming into a difficult situation, find the problems, listen to the people, build that trust and empathy, listen for solutions that seem to work, and then use them as a starting point. Okay, that would be my strategy in a situation like this.
Yes, there is audience want to ask a question. Eddie Chai, can you raise your questions to Peter?
Hi, Peter. This is Eddie.
Hi, Eddie.
Nice to meet you. And all your introduction and also description about personal agility system. It's all very inspiring, and starting with yourself and try to influence the organization. Hopefully from top down, that will give you a faster result. My question is, given the dynamic nature of the work and the emergence of the generative AI technology, how do you see the personal agility system evolve in the future? And will generative AI play a part? How will Gen AI play a part in this process, in your opinion?
Okay, so I've had a lot of fun experimenting with ChatGPT, and right now, and I use the paid version. Okay, and I, the paid version is fairly expensive. It's like I think $200 or $300 a year. So it's a relatively expensive kind of personal digital service, but it is the most knowledgeable consultant I've ever met. And so I think one of the things you can do right now today with ChatGPT, whenever you're confronted with a problem, okay, you can find, you can say, well, who else is trying to solve this problem? Who are the leading thinkers? What would their strategies be? Okay, and they can, they can give you ideas on what to do. Now, the thing about ChatGPT is something very general, okay? And every question you ask, every bit of information you provide builds their knowledge base. What's interesting is the idea that you can build your own knowledge bases. The tools are generally available as open source in various different from various different sources. And so what you can do is you can start to build your own knowledge base. I was in a workshop over the weekend. Tesla has been doing that, collecting data from within the innards of their cars. And they're now at the point where the AI can propose design enhancements to the motors to improve their efficiency. Okay, so but this is now based on a proprietary generative AI, which they've been working on for the last 10 years. So I think they're showing us the way on this. Now, with personal agility, the key question is what really matters. Okay, and it's all about sense making. One thing which I have not found ChatGPT to be very good at is asking questions. You can ask for a list of questions, but it will not give you questions. Okay, do you see the difference? Okay, a coach will ask you a question, listen to the answer, and on the basis of the answer, come up with a new question. Okay, ChatGPT, you say, here is my situation, give me some questions to ask. But then if you answer one of the questions, at least up till now, it hasn't come, it's given me answers, never questions. So I think this is our, maybe this is something where we still have an advantage. How long this will be the case, I don't know. I did see someone try to create a coaching GPT and it never stopped asking questions and it never gave me an answer.
Right. Okay.
Sorry,
so
I've probably outrun the translators by now. So the problem is the generative AIs, they're great, but they have their limitations. And I think that the driving spark that gives it a purpose and a direction in response to new information I still think that's us. That's not the AI. So I think we're going to have, the AI is going to be like our personal assistant, our personal genius, kind of, at our side to help us with whatever we need help on. But I think our own vision and direction is and our ability to process that information and take it to a useful place. That's going to be what continues to make people necessary and special.
Okay, thank you, Peter, for your insights.
Yeah.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Because of
Thank you.
We can open the last question.
OK，
时间有限，所以我们开放最后一题，然后我们就要大合照了。那有傅昭明校长跟苏善成哈，那因为傅昭明校长那个先提的哈，可以请你提向 Peter 提吗？
Okay, hello, Peter. My name is Zhao Min. Yeah, so great to hear your talk about personal idea. Could you please recommend the approach or guideline for personal agility for university education, especially for students?
OK. I think that's a great question. My belief is that personal agility should be a basic skill for every student.
Yeah.
How to figure out
Great.
what matters, how to execute on what matters. I would start with something that many students find very challenging, which is doing their homework. Okay, a lot of students procrastinate on their homework. They can't organize themselves. They want to organize themselves, but they don't know how. So I would start with the basics of personal agility, getting clear on what matters, getting clear on what your assignments are, getting clear on what done means. I would offer that. I don't even think that would be a course. I don't know. It could be a course. It could just be something that you offer to students, as part of their orientation, as part of their onboarding as a student, so that they can become effective and successful as students. And I've watched, my kids are both college age. My daughter is a little bit further along, and the kind of getting things done and beating procrastination has been, one of the big challenges in her life. And for my son, on the other hand, I don't know why this is the case. It may be because he does high performance sports, but he's always been able to organize himself and say, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do that, and then he does it. And he recently decided he wanted to get back on an academic track. And it's a very, very challenging program because you have to cover in about a year what he didn't get in the previous 3 years. And he says, well, if I want to be successful at this, I can't work. I have to quit my job. I won't have time otherwise. And so he quit his job. And now he does his homework first. Okay. And then he does his training second. And, anything else, which is perhaps sometimes a bit challenging for his girlfriend, but anything else comes third. Okay. And so he's very, very clear on what he wants to achieve and what he wants to do. So, I think success in academics is about diligence and perseverance. And I think these are skills you can teach with personal agility. So if you'd like to reach out to me on how to do that within your university, I'd be very happy to support you on that. And maybe we can start a working group for personal agility in academics. The basic materials, by the way, are available Creative Commons, so you can use them in a nonprofit context, like a university, without restriction.
Thank you very much for your answer, and I appreciate, for your offer possibility. Probably in our university, we can try to organize something for work together for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
那我们接下来拍大合照哈，我移除大家的焦点资讯一下。好，请大家开镜头。我们今天有148人，哇，好多人哦，148。好 ，OK， 请大家开镜头。Peter, we have 150 persons now. Wow. OK， 好，3、2、1。要拍多张啊，大家等我一下哈。
谢谢拉杰老师。
好，有2张就好了。 The second one. No, no，要拍4张。啊，3、2、1。好，最后一个，3、2、1。OK，好，那我们结束了哈。好，那我们今天的专访就到这里啊。那很开心啊，台湾可以这样邀请到这个国际大师来这样专访，真的很荣幸啊。那谢谢大家的参与，陪我们一起学习一个新的工具，叫个人敏捷性。希望这个个人敏捷性可以在台湾发展起来。那各位可以到书局天龙或者是博客来都可以找到这本书，用个人敏捷性就可以找到，红色的封面啊。那我们谢谢 Peter 啊。那在离开之前，请大家跟他说个晚安啊。那我们就结束了啊。好，大家可以打开麦克风跟他 say hello，say good night。
Thank you, Peter.
Oh,
Thank
Peter,
you,
Very
Peter.
much.
Thank you.
Bye. See you.
come to you.
Bye bye.
Peter.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
好，谢谢罗老师为大家主持今天的分享。那希望大家都有小小收获。那如果你在今天有收获的话，请大家不要客气，在各位的 FB、Line 或是各个你的个人频道，那分享跟回馈今天的收获跟心得。那我相信这是鼓舞我们最大的方法。那谢谢老师为我们带来这样的安排，让我们每个人都找到自己真正重要的事情。谢谢 Peter， 谢谢罗老师，谢谢所有的志工。
好，good night，Peter。
谢谢大家，
老师。
谢谢 Pete， 谢谢 Roger 老师，
哪里？
拜拜，
拜。
拜拜，拜拜。